cursed forest demands blood, and darkness reigns over a terrified village. One girl dares to defy ancient evil, with nothing but ancestral bones, a golden bell, and a prophecy of fire. Enter the forest, if you dare to witness the ritual that awakened a forgotten god. In the dense heart of Obanji Kingdom, there lay a forest so feared its name was only spoken during funerals. Uro Egbere, the Forest of Whispers. No sunlight pierced its canopy. The villagers believed it was home to cursed spirits, warriors who defied the gods and were bound in chains of shadow. The forest was not merely evil, it was sentient. It knew your name. It remembered your ancestors. Many generations ago, it had been a place of worship, sacred ground where the people communed with the god Anum, the bringer of fire and justice. But greed corrupted the priesthood. Rituals were twisted, blood was spilled for power, and in fury Anum withdrew his light. In his place came Egbere, a demonic trickster deity, once banished into the spirit world. The forest became his playground, and every new moon, it claimed a soul from the village. The villagers built high walls, left offerings, and avoided eye contact with the trees. But the darkness kept growing. The story begins with Adanma, a young woman born with a veil over her face, the sign of a seer. She had dreams since childhood of flames devouring the forest, of a glowing spear descending from the heavens. Her grandmother, Iya Ifeoma, the last living priestess of Anum, raised her in secret ways, away from the village's fear. One day, she would whisper, you will bring the dawn, but first the forest must taste your blood. On the eve of the black moon, the forest struck with fury. A red mist poured from the woods, creeping into Obanji. Livestock died. Children screamed in their sleep. The Akoro drum, only used during war, was sounded for the first time in 50 years. The elders gathered, trembling. We must send another offering, they said. Adanma stepped forward. No more sacrifices. This is not the way of Anum. You dare defy tradition? Chief Okori spat. I don't defy it, she replied. I fulfill it. She told them of her dreams, the flames, the spear, the voice that said, come to me under the tree of many roots. They dismissed her, but Iya Ifeoma stood up. She is the last of the light, she said. Let her perform the ritual of return. Let her go where no one has returned from. And so they allowed it. At midnight, with a white chalk circle drawn around her heart, Adanma entered the forest alone. She carried only a gourd of palm oil, a bowl of white feathers, a calabash of ancestral bones, and a golden bell that had belonged to Anum's last warrior. As soon as she stepped in, the forest came alive. Leaves whispered her name. Trees groaned with the voices of the damned. Eyes glowed from behind bark. A creature with goat hooves and a serpent's face watched her silently, then vanished into mist. At the center of the forest stood the tree of many roots, an ancient, enormous baobab whose branches formed a crown. It pulsed with malevolence. Beneath it, the ground bled black sap. There she began the ritual of return. First, she poured the palm oil in a circle and set the feathers inside it. She placed the bones in the center and rang the golden bell. I call on you, spirits of the fallen. I call on you, Anum's warriors. Come back to the light. The forest screamed. Suddenly, roots shot from the ground, wrapping around her legs. From the trunk of the tree stepped Egbere himself, twice the height of a man, skin like molten coal, eyes burning red, hair made of worms. You dare summon my enemies? He hissed. Adama trembled. You have ruled long enough. I call for judgment. He laughed, voice like thunder. You are blood and bone. I am shadow and fire. You will be mine. He lunged. At the last second, the golden bell rang itself, louder than a war cry. The bones on the ground burst into white flame. A column of light descended from the sky, piercing through the canopy. The ground cracked. The air turned to smoke. From the light came a flaming spear, hovering before Adanma. She grabbed it, eyes wide. I am the voice of Anum, she shouted, and I cast you back into the pit. The battle was apocalyptic. Egbere summoned his beasts, horned wraiths, scorpion men, and shadow dogs. but the spear blazed through them, burning away their darkness. Every time Adanma struck the earth, the forest lost a little more of its grip. Egbere screamed and conjured a storm of knives, but the bell shielded her with golden waves. He tried to possess her, but found her spirit protected by ancestral chants. Iya Ifeoma had whispered them into her heart since she was a child. In a final act of power, she plunged the spear into the heart of the tree. The entire forest shook like thunder. Fire raced through the roots. Every branch turned to ash. Wailing spirits shot out of the bark like sparks. And Egbere, he was consumed in a whirlwind of fire and salt, screaming as he was dragged back to the underworld. The villagers awoke to find the forest silent. By noon, trees near the edge began to fall. Birds returned. Streams ran clear again. A golden light rose from the heart of Uro Egbere, and Adanma emerged, covered in soot, her eyes glowing with divine fire. Behind her walked Iya Ifeoma, who had passed in her sleep hours earlier, but now moved like a spirit, reborn for one last blessing. The two women entered the village square. Adanma raised the bell. No more fear, no more blood. The god of fire has returned. The people fell to their knees, weeping. That night the village danced. For the first time in over a century, the moon turned white, and the stars sang. The forest of whispers was no more. In its place stood a sacred grove, where people went not to die, but to speak with the gods. Adanma became the new priestess of light. Under her rule, Obanji flourished. Crops grew rich, peace was restored, and no child feared the trees again. But the golden bell was kept safe, hidden in a shrine of stone. For though the darkness was defeated, the elders always whispered, light sleeps but never dies. Darkness waits but never wins.